Hello, and welcome to Studio J Art Space here in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And I'd like to give you a little tour of what happens in Studio J. Come on in. Here you see the latest logo for Mailarta 5, an upcoming exhibition of mail art that'll be happening in 2014. And already there are works that have come in from over 24 countries and over 100 artists from around the world. So if you're interested, do check it out online, Mailarta 5, and you can see what has come in and you can see what other artists have sent. Over the years, catalogs are produced for each of the shows. So every 2 years, this biennial is happening here in Victoria. And it would be delightful to have you as part of it. Here, the archives of Mail Manias over the years, and the current works are housed in there. And you'll see there's anything to do with the mail world, the post office, I've collected. And as you go through the space, you'll see there's quite a collection of all kinds of ephemera. And as we go around, you'll see on that wall additional works from the mail art realm and little segments from the portrait gallery, which I'll introduce you to as we go further into the other space. Also on that wall, we'll see additions from local artists. I've collected works from fundraisers here for a number of years, so these are all related to the RPM fundraiser. And as we go around, you'll see works by my alter ego self, the sculptor, Dale Roberts. Dale's been doing these assemblages now for a number of years and getting ready for another show happening in next month here in Victoria. And these works are from found materials. You'll see all kinds of materials get used, and it has a particular interest in the suitcase as a housing unit for these objects. Now, here you'll see a piece called Caution Praying Ahead. It is a piece that has a number of religious icons that have been collected. A number of these things have been around and they live in the studio for years and years, and then finally they get to be used in the final piece in the sculpture there. On the back wall, you'll see a piece that has been put out into the ocean and collected bits of seaweed. Another one of Dale's works where these bits of driftwood are found. He reworks the surface, puts them out in the ocean, lets the waters have their way with it, brings it back, reworks it, seals it with encaustic shellacs and other materials. And there you see the piece there. Now, as we pan further down, we'll see more suitcases. It's a theme that he's been working with for at least 7 years or so now. And everything has potential, so nothing gets thrown out without crucial assessment. And you see this suitcase here has got a number of elements that are from Newfoundland. We have things from childhood, buttons from my mother and grandmother, things that have been around for many years, and finally they get to have their place in the art. And as you come around, I'll show you more of the gallery of Dale. And you'll see stone carvings, crocheted works. Here, this hanging piece will have everything has potential, you see. Even within the pieces, you'll see there are horse chestnuts. And So anything that has potential to be collected, you see, and then utilized later becomes possible. And as we see further on, crocheted works. Right here, there's an interesting story. I'd like to show you this piece titled Androgen. Now this is made from a cast of another man here in town who was a bodybuilder. And he allowed me to wrap him in saran wrap and packing tape, made a mold of his body, and then I felted over top, crocheted, and then did final works. And you'll see he moves, and he likes to open up for visitors. And see, but he sleeps a lot, I think. Yeah. Let's go around. Lukey's boat right here, made from netting twine from Newfoundland, shipped from Carbonear to Victoria. Takes about a year or so for these pieces to finally see completion. There's a lot of handwork in them. Here, French knitting or caulking. And in that same series of pieces that get launched in the ocean, we have a piece up here called Exploits, named because the map behind is of the Exploits region in Newfoundland. And it, again, was launched out in the ocean. It has seaweed and other materials that have collected on the surface. Over on the far wall here, we'll see a piece that has some humor, Girly Boy. You see, Dale has a little sense of fun around some of these pieces. So, as we come around, as a part of the collecting and finding, along the shore not long ago, Dale found this oar and crocheted around the entire piece. It's titled Or, Either Or. And here we have outports happening, most recent in the crocheted series from Dale. And right here, this piece has been collected rope fragments for a year of walking along the Dallas Road area here in Victoria, and then crocheted over top to continue to make an added rope, where it then got launched back out into the ocean, and then now resides here. So it's time for me to take you into the continuing portrait gallery. So come on in. And greeting visitors as they come into the portrait gallery is none other than me in felt. Dale has been busy with his little fingers making needle-felted sculptures, and this, he did one of me. So here I am in all my glory and wool. So as you pan through there, you'll see collections from the portrait gallery. I've been doing this portrait project now for over 5 years. I write to people from around the world and see if I can get a response by telling them about my project, and that if they would autograph a self-portrait and send it along, that I'd send them some mail art in return. There have been some interesting responses, as you can see, some that people would recognize. I see a fellow Newfoundlander over here, Rick Mercer. I'm sure many people in Newfoundland would recognize that name. One of my heroes here, Angela Lansbury, as Auntie Mame. And as you see, it's quite an eclectic range of works. Currently there are over 44 countries and just over 1,000 portraits now in the collection. So feel free, send yours. And as we And through we'll see another area where I have my collection of costuming, my wigs. There are all kinds of possible things that happen here. I am often invited to do fundraisers or other events, so you never know what color you need to be. So come on in. Oh, of course, here you see on the back wall the Kens. Now I've been obsessively collecting in this little mode as well for about, I guess this is about 7 years of collecting. And I'm aiming for 999 Kens on the wall. So at this point there's somewhere around 777 or so. Not like I count every one of them, mind you, but I do have that sensibility of counting and hanging on to numbers around all kinds of things. Now over in that back wall you'll see an additional selection of portraits. There have been so many now, as you can imagine, over 1,000. So they're spreading all over the studio. So, why don't I take you into the brain center where all the mail art gets composed and sent out into the world. So, come on in. There. Welcome. Another room in the studio. And as you see here, there are a new set of portraits that have been collected. Recently I went to a show in Regina and I became familiar with an author who put together a book on an artist in England, William Bray, who did mailings back in the early 1900s. Now, William did a series of postcards that he mailed out as direct mailings with images of his potential subjects for response for his autograph project. So I was inspired by that, so I started making my own portraits on postcards. So I find the images of these people, send them off in the mail, and just see if they'll respond. And it's been incredible, the response. At this point, over 700 have gone out into the mail, and as you can see, people like Anne Rice, Lauren Bacall, Carol Burnett, Stephen Fry, many people that have from stage, television, even royalty. I have Prince Albert of Monaco, Angela Lansbury, fellow Newfoundlander Michael Cody, actor. As we go around, writers, anyone. Often I'm influenced by what's happening currently in the news, whether it's through writings, authors, current events, and I'll see if I can find an address for them. Mostly I find them through an online source and then just mail it off to them and see if it garners a response. So far I've been quite happy with how that's been going. Now on the back wall there you'll see further works into this obsessive-compulsive nature of the sculptor Dale, as he's been working on this project now for almost 8 years. There are just about 300 of these crocheted works sitting on the wall, and they have been ongoing and all starting with a very similar idea that they had to fit within the shoebox dimension and have some element of crochet within them. And it started with the idea that maybe 10 would be enough. Then 10 led to 25, to 50. 50 thought, well, okay, 75. Looked good as an installation, 100. And it just keeps going. But I have decided that or Dale has, hasn't he? Who is this? Yes, 333 seems to be the final number at the moment. And according to a numerology source, that is a good number to end it at. So right now, I'm about to take you into the room of all sorts. So come with me. Here, sort of the eclectic works of at first it was sort of a collection of things that I would often use in some of my materials for the assemblage, but then everything has now taken on overwhelming, because of this is the royal corner, and you can see a needle felted sculpture that was done for the Diamond Jubilee. For 7 years, I was responsible for the mail art window for the Canada Post here in town. And parts of what that allowed me to do was to find elements related to certain themes. So when the Diamond Jubilee came along, I was very excited to find anything related to Her Majesty and the royal family. And as part of that mail art call that I did for portraits, I sent a letter to Her Majesty, and in return got this portrait as a response. And she says, the lady in waiting who wrote on her behalf says, Her Majesty was interested to hear about your studio and your portrait project, to see an example of your mail art, and in response to your request, I'm pleased to enclose the double-sided portrait of the Queen, which you may like to have to display on your portrait wall. Well, that was the most exciting day that I have that in my mailbox. I was just delighted. And as we go through, we'll see further portraits that have been signed by people, and sometimes I'll make a special point when I meet someone to take something to have them sign it. And here's a needle felted portrait of Lucille Ball, and more little shrine areas, more artist collections of portraits. I'll share one of my favorite people in the world. Oh, and here, if we can peek in here, we have an image of Simeon Duck. Now, Simeon Duck was the owner of this building, and back in the early 1900s, he would have seances in this very space. So I often think that there's residue from his early pandering into the spirit realm. And also there are rumors of ghosts, because one of the girls named Marvel Khan had an accident down the stairs out here. So I swear they linger about, and especially at this time of year, we hear all kinds of stories. Oh, and now you see Marilyn, another of the needle-felted portraits that have come into being in the last year. And a little collection of all things Marilyn. That's what happens around here. You start one thing and it just keeps growing and growing. And here we have a very odd assortment, everything from Russian stacking dolls to telephones. Anything has potential to be collected. Here we have the Newfoundland section. It's an odd assortment of things that have come from my travels to Newfoundland, and family have sent me over time. So it's just sort of a little section where I remember home and all those comforting things. And now we're going to wander into another room and say, how big is the studio at all? Well, here, as you might imagine, word is getting out that this is quite a space, so lots of people come by for visits. So part of this ongoing portrait and autograph collection is for me to take their photograph and to have them sign a special book when they come through. So this is part of what this collection is. Just a small part, mind you, because I do have hundreds of others yet to go up there. So people have come from all over, and there's been lots of people hearing about it, making contact, saying they'd like to drop by. And now you're about to see my dear friend, Dame Edna. She has been an influence of mine for many years, and as part of my motto in life, love and laughter, as you see above my door. And Dame Edna has just been one to deliver such laughs. I'm a great person who thinks that laughter is a key to making the most of our lives. And here we'll see more in the eclectic findings around the studio. Everything from little voodoo dolls to strange assortments, clippings. There's a hat collection that pops up here and there. And part of the hat collection is what I do myself in the needle felted work. Here's a piece that was for the most recent Moss Street painting, where I often set up booths or talk about mail art and the realm of correspondence art. So this part of a costume that I wore, here you'll see another needle felted hat, and it's a constructionist piece that's been worn to several events now. Another needle felted work up there, a wearable piece. And again, there's many elements within the costumes that are felted that get to be part of that. And here another assemblage for a special themed show. And we are getting close to making a complete circle as we go through into So, let me say thank you for coming to visit me at Studio J. And when you're in town, look me up. And you can find me online at mailarta.blogspot.com. See you. Bye-bye.